Good morning, welcome back to my channel. It's Saturday the 5th of July 2025 and it's just before 9 a.m. Kicking off as normal with what's for the basket, and this week it's dried noodles. These are rice noodles and they're free on plan. So I think Shell uses these and I'm sure they are very nice. I haven't actually eaten mine yet. Let's talk about the word of affirmation this week, which is solution. S-O-L-U-T-I-O-N, which gets £12 for the Salvation Army Children's Toy Appeal. I realised this week, putting the £12 away, that we're nearly at £500, so doing really well for that appeal. Need to keep saving up until about the start of November, when we will go out and do a massive toy shop. But I will show you what I buy. I'll get Joe to stack all the toys up and include a picture in the video in November. Right, Joe's got my little headings again because I have no memory, honestly, and I have no way of writing it down. I don't do braille or anything like that, which would be very useful at this stage in life. But Joe, what's number?
The word of affirmation.
Yeah, next one. Done the word of affirmation.
If the problem isn't hunger, the solution.
Right. If the problem isn't hunger, the solution isn't food. Heard that this week, or something very similar. I often find that I'm not hungry. Well, no, I'll be straight. If I follow my plan properly, I am never hungry. The kind of foods I eat suit my body, and the only time I feel, and I wouldn't call it hunger, but the only time I feel ready for a meal is usually because it is a meal time. And I can often be busy all morning. I'll have a breakfast nowadays because I have to eat before I go to the gym, so I'll have a breakfast nowadays. And the next time I feel hungry, it can be 2:30 in the afternoon. Because I've been busy, because we've been out, my mind is not focused on hunger. So if the problem isn't hunger, the solution isn't food. And when it is a meal time, I eat, and I eat really well. I don't eat tiny portions of what people focus on, speed food, all the time. I do eat speed food, but I think I eat a lot more free food than I eat speed food. I think if I was hungry all the time, I would be totally obsessed with food and food noise. And I can't deal with that. I don't want food to be the priority in my life. But if you've got a problem and you're reaching for food and you're not hungry, or if I've got a problem, I'm reaching for food, I'm not hungry, it's because I'm inactive, I'm bored, I'm tired, or as they often say in 12-step programs, HALT, H-A-L-T. Stop and think about it. Are you hungry? Are you angry? Are you lonely? Or are you tired? Because they seem to be the biggest culprits in causing us to want to eat unnecessarily. So, yes, sometimes I am hungry, but only enough to eat my next meal. I'm never going to starve. I'm not in a third world country where there's a lack of food. And if I was hungry on this plan, I would go and I would eat something that was free food. Even though I use all of my 15 sins generally in a day, or as near to them as I want to go, if I was hungry, I would go and get something that was free food. That for us this week, our top free food, maybe speed actually, is strawberries. We don't usually eat strawberries other than at Wimbledon, and I usually have one bowl. And this week it's been 400, 600 or even 800 grams of strawberries a day. Because like Joe reminds me, they're just water. You pee a lot more when you eat a lot of strawberries. And the bottom line, I think they're 30 calories for 100 grams. So even if I ate, like I did on Monday, 800 grams of strawberries after my lunch, that's only 240 calories. And I know we don't do calories, but reality is all food has calories. So, yeah, remember, if the problem isn't hunger, the solution isn't food. Excuse me, I've been eating. So let's look at my next heading, Joe.
Normalcy.
No, normalcy. The normalcy bias. What is the normalcy bias? The normalcy bias is where I live my life every day. This is a normal life. This is a real life, okay? So my normalcy bias is I get up in the morning and get on with my day. And I'm usually quite fortunate. I'm a great planner. I've got my day planned out. I don't usually have a lot of time on my hands. I get to do lots of things. That's normal. So I can be floating through a day on the normalcy bias. Or I can be floating through a week on the normalcy bias. And then suddenly the shit can hit the fan. Now that's when something happens that people will often refer to as life getting in the way. This is the sort of thing I need to have a solution in my tool belt for. Because if the problem isn't hunger, the solution isn't food. And so often in my life before, the nitrogenous material would hit the fan and I would automatically reach for food because I need something to push that pain down with, push that anger down with, push that frustration down with. And I'm having to learn, the further I get into this lifestyle, that will never work. It never has worked and it will never work. So I have to have other solutions. Now this week it turned out that the gym was a great solution because we set off to go to the gym on Monday morning. Everything was hunky-dory, everything was fine. We got to the gym. Joe said to the girl on the desk, passing over my card, come on, use the gym. The girl on the desk said, you've got no credits. Now I knew I had 2 because I'd checked when I was there on Saturday. So I knew I'd paid for a session on Monday, I'd paid for a session on Thursday. Now that in itself didn't make me mad. What made me mad was that she then talked to Joe about me. And I've referred to this before, it's that does she take sugar attitude. Well, she can have a free session today. Because I said to her, I've already spoken to Maddie, the lovely girl on the desk on Saturday, and said, how many sessions do I have left? And she said 2. So I knew I was covered for Monday, I knew I was covered for Thursday. So the girl on the desk, who wasn't Maddie, said, she can use the gym for free today. Who's she? The cat's mother? She stood there, that's me, and my blood pressure started to rise, thinking, talk to the organ grinder, not the monkey. I'm here, I'm not invisible, speak to me. But no, they're not trained to do that. They don't know how to respond to a blind person. So they talk to whoever you're with. And oh my God, it's not just that it's frustrating, it actually, well, I'll be honest, the part of it I don't like is that it reminds me that I'm blind. And I don't think about that on a daily basis. I just get on with my life. So I was so angry by the time we walked away from the reception desk, and he knew. He could tell because I was gripping his arm. And he's like, you're not happy? And I went, let's just go and use the gym. We went up into the gym, we used the gym. I used that anger in me, that frustration and that belligerence to push the weights. And some of my weights jumped up, didn't they, Joe? Mm. Because I was so angry, I put every ounce of that anger into the energy to push those weights. And I was doing what was my session? Where you push it on the diagonal.
the chest press.
Chest press, where you push it on the diagonal. And that's flipping hard for me. But by God, my weights went up, my reps went up. One of my reps went from 8 to 30. I'm that angry. But I used that life got in the way experience to push the weights rather than pushing the food down my throat, which is what I would have done before. Before I'd have been so sensitive, so upset or frustrated by what she said that I'd have just said, I want to go home. I'd have thrown my rattle out the pram, I want to go home. And I'd have come home, or I'd have called up the supermarket on the way home, and I'd have ate all day. I won't do that today, because if the problem isn't hunger, the solution isn't food. And I know we all talk about on YouTube, those of us who vlog about losing weight, we talk about emotional eating. That is all that emotional eating is. There are some horrible things that can happen in our lives. We can lose parents, we can lose children. That's awful. But eating over it is just punishing ourselves unnecessarily. It is never, ever, ever going to make you feel better for longer than about 5 minutes. I've been there, I've done it thousands of times. So that normalcy bias that we all have when we're living our lives, everything's hunky-dory, it feels like a good day, blah, blah, blah. And we're not even thinking about food, and we're not thinking about having a bad experience, can suddenly just smack us in the face. And it may be something that happens to you, one of your kids, your partner, your car, anything, your washing machine breaks, anything can happen to end that normalcy bias. But eating over it is never, ever, ever going to help. It's never helped me in 68 years of my life, and it never will. But I'm learning now how to handle things in a different way and how to use different solutions. Next one, Joe.
Shall I say education? Would you know that? From the
Yeah, I do. From the moment we're born, we are taught to seek comfort in different ways, right? So when you're born, brand new baby, what's the first thing they do? They put you to the breast if you're going to be breastfed, or they stick a bottle in your mouth if you're going to be bottle fed. You're taught comfort means put something in your mouth. You fall over when you're a toddler, your mum picks you up, hugs you better, and she might give you a sweetie. All of those things are involved with putting something in your mouth. You cry as a baby or a little toddler. What do we do? Not all of us, but most of us stick a dummy in their mouth. Show them that anything that, things that go in your mouth when you're a child are about comfort. So we grow up with that learned behaviour. So by the time we're of school age and we go to school, we are putting things in our own mouths that bring us comfort. So something might happen. You might have a bit of a tiff with one of your mates at school when you're 7 years old. Go home, you tell your mum, she says, oh, don't worry about it, you can put it right tomorrow, here, have a biscuit. Or you call at the tuck shop, or you call at the sweet shop on the way home, and you buy something that you can put in your mouth that makes you feel better. So I think a lot of this eating over our emotions comes from actually, or stems from, the behaviour that is put on us, not our choice. Nature puts it on us because we need nourishment. But you're born, and the first thing you hope a baby's going to do is squawk the place down, and then put the baby on the mother's naked body, and then stick it on the breast. So the baby's born, and it cries out loud, and it shrieks, and you stick a nipple in its mouth. And it's like, that instant brain reaction must be, oh my God, that's comfort. That's emotional comfort. And I think we carry that with us all through life. And in a lot of children, it shows as sucking their thumb. Lots of kids suck their thumb, it's a normal behaviour. Lots of kids suck the corner of a blanket. It's a normal behaviour because it's what we do to comfort ourselves. How many times have you heard people say, oh, little so-and-so needs her blankie, or so-and-so needs his dummy, or whatever. All of these things, putting things in your mouth, it's taught. We're taught to do it. And we have to break that habit. So that when we're older, like my age, to cope with an emotional reaction, we do not automatically want to put something in our mouth that is even the right thing. It's not good to cope with an emotion by eating free food or speed food. It's better to learn that if the problem isn't hunger, the solution isn't food. Get outside, get in the fresh air, take a walk, put some music on, blast your neighbours. I was annoyed the other day because my neighbour was bang, 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 Her drive runs along the side of my bungalow, and she was bang, 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 bang. So I stuck Young Thug on at full blast. I felt better. Not sure if she likes the same music as me, but I felt better. Even in that, the old me would have sought food for comfort to alleviate my annoyance. Crazy. Next one.
Weighing results. Oh no, slimming world lifestyle.
Yeah, touching just on what I've been saying, the slimming world for me is now becoming a lifestyle because it's so much more than food. Food is only one element of our life. It's nourishment, it keeps us going, it's what we get through on, it's what we get fat on, it's what we get slim on. It depends how we use it. But Slimming World purports to be a lifestyle. So it has to involve more than eating. And for me, I'm finding that the further I get into it, the healthier I feel, the more willing I am to experience different things, the more it is becoming a lifestyle. Because if I had the choice between stopping in the house and stuffing my face, or getting out there for a really good long fast walk, or a gym session, or going to see a friend or something, I'd rather do the other things now than stop in the house and stuff my face. And I was so good at closing the blinds in the lounge, fetching in here as much food as I possibly thought I could eat, probably would have lasted most people a week, and just stuffing my face in secret. My God, I would not choose to do that today, because that isn't living for me. Now I know what it feels like to go to the gym, wake your brain up, actually feel so much mentally better, physically better, and I can walk miles and enjoy it. I'd rather do those things. I'd rather fill 2 or 3 hours by going on a long, long walk and having a good laugh at some of the things that we see along the way, or some of the birds, we see herons, we see kestrels. Joe saw a deer, and then he saw a badger. All these things. That was when you were walking back from the gym, wasn't it? You saw a deer and a badger.
Mm-hmm.
All of those things are so much more interesting than stuffing my face with crap food. And afterwards I feel good. But when I stuff my face with crap food in secret, I never felt good. I was always on edge. What if somebody caught me? Oh my God. What if somebody catches me? What if Richard walks in? What if he comes home from work early? What if Joe comes in when I'm not expecting him? And I don't want all that stress. I don't want all those feelings of having to catch up before I go to get weighed. I don't want all those feelings of, wow, I've dodged a bullet. I don't want any of that. I want a comfortable life. And I'm achieving that by following the Slimming World plan. Now, there are going to be changes in group meetings. I'm not going to talk about them until they actually happen in my group, and they haven't yet. But when they do, I might talk about them. Next, weigh-in results.
Yeah, that's the last one.
Okay, this week I went to group. We had a standing consultant. He's really lovely. My consultant's away again. And I lost a pound, which is more than I was aiming to do, because I was trying to lose half a pound. Really happy with that result. I am now at 11 stone and half a pound, so that's 154 and a half pounds, and I think about 70.7 kilograms. I've got a tattoo on my arm which is a heart with the 10 in it, because my heart was to be in the 10 stones. I don't know which end of the 10 stones I want to be in. I'll know that when I get there. But that's what that tattoo is about. It reminds me that, what is it, beautiful Sal say, perfect 10, but she wears a 12. That would suit me. I'd like to be a perfect 10 and wear a 12, because I'd have room to move in my clothes. But that's where I'm at this week. I'm comfortable in my body. I'm energetic, I sleep well. The only thing I'm lacking this week is I think I'm not drinking enough. I need to focus on that. Joe says when I come in the afternoon, I need to drink a litre of water before I think about eating anything. That's not to fill myself up, it's to hydrate myself properly. And I think not drinking enough is the thing that goes first for a lot of us. because I'm one of these people who's never particularly thirsty. I could drink a cup of coffee anytime, or a mug of tea, or whatever, and we go out and we have iced black coffees. But as far as like drinking water, I could go all day and never think about it. I need to plan it. I need to think about it. I need to do it. So that's the one thing I'm going to really work on this week. I'm going to work on drinking more water. Yeah, that's my week. It's been a good one. And I'll see you next Saturday. Bye.